Hi, this is Tormod, and I would like to talk about what I thought was what I perceived to be my story about Ayn Rand and her philosophy of how the world could function, or what I thought was her idea of how the world could function. This is a story about how I thought Ayn Rand tried to explain the world could function. At this point I was living in the central Norway, further north than I am now. I was living and I was committed to hospital, mental hospital, for hearing voices, hallucinating, etc. And I had for some months ago, weeks ago, before I got up there, probably almost a year ago, I have heard about Ayn Rand and some guy telling me that what this Ayn Rand story or her book was all about, her famous book was all about. So I had this idea in the back of my head about what was her idea of a better world, and this evolved into voices within me from my own personal stress. This idea that I thought was Ayn Rand's ideas evolved into voices in my head, and I would hear like these words in my head: free world, sharing world, openness, sharing, give as you want to receive. Words within me that what is mine is yours, etc. So I thought that we had actually started on a metaphysical level anyways, within my voices anyways. I thought that we were already living within a free sharing world where everybody could share equally everything that they had. And picture like if you are in a car, if you drive in a car, and you park it and you go somewhere and you leave the car, you leave the keys in the car for the next person to come and go on their journey. So it's like a journey all the time. If you go somewhere, you leave the keys in the door because there's a basis, a foundation of trust that will be created. A foundation of trust will be created, and then we could trust one another to give as you want to receive, and give to our neighbor what we had, so that what we will leave in the keys in our car for the next person to take over it. It will be more like an experience, will be far greater. If I should go somewhere and if I should ride my bike down to the community center, and I see this car standing there, I think, okay, now I can go for a drive, and I just drive somewhere, and I park it somewhere, and I go into a house somewhere, and I leave the keys in the car, and I go into this house, and I live in this house, but all of a sudden, that sort of idea was I experiencing. A pretty wild idea, and you can relate it to the paid forward method of sharing economy, P2P Foundation, but P2P Foundation, check that out, P2P Foundation. So I kept on seeing all these hallucinations and hearing all these voices a lot in my head. I was at Namsos hospital, and I was living what I thought was sharing in the new world, and it got to the extent where I found this purse, a bag of documents, there was documents, there was microchips or unit storage with data in it, there was some writings, there was some paperwork, etc. And I thought, okay, this is an example of this new world that we're living in. I cannot take this bag and sort of change it with something else that I don't have right now, but I take this bag and I go into my room and I start living this life from what is in this bag. I thought the bag was mine to take. So I thought the bag was mine to take, and I could start living that life from the information that I found within this bag. And at this point I was in the hospital. It was a bag full of documents about students and their results, scoring results on tests on healthcare students. and it was some musical records I remember, and some I can't remember all what was in it, but it was some head nurse's bag. One of the head nurse's bag on the bag that I would take and think that this is my bag, I can have this bag, it's no problem with it. This is the new world we're living in. I thought that the Ayn Rand prophecy of sharing or giving equally or just leaving everything for the next man all the time, leave the car door open sort of all the time, I thought we were living that world. 100% within my consciousness and my awareness. So it's really a fascinating concept about leaving the keys in the car, and you do something and you go in a further direction and you find something else to do and you live your life. It's really a extreme freedom concept of some kind, or sort of, where we have no abuse and no theft and no robbery, etc. So I've lived that very much within my life at the mental hospital, where I thought that this was it, this was the concept that I was supposed to live by, and this was the concept that I was supposed to bring further, be a pioneer and work on be a pioneer and let this evolve into the human humanity. And I keep saying on my around in the society where I walked and where I would drive or be driven around in that hospital, around that area, I keep seeing all these signs that the old world was collapsing and we had to start sharing and giving as you want to receive, and this was in 2010 and 2011, I think 2011 mostly, and I started seeing all these pictures or I think it was hallucinations around me, and I saw all these system structures that were all worn out and completely ruined. System structures that were completely ruined and worn completely out. What I failed to see was myself that I was seeing, because I'm part of the system, and I have given into the system for almost over 30 years. I've lived within the system and served as a system slave, sort of. So that's that. But it's really I think about it today, like 4 or 5 years after, about the concept of thinking that we actually were living in a free world where we have perfect sharing as possible, and where we thought that we could live have a quality life for everybody, and there was no discussion about it really, and just happened overnight, sort of, without any announcements or information details. So I thought that this bag that I found was my new life, that I could live for so and so long, correct these tests that I found from the students, and listen to the records, and then fill the bag with whatever I want to fill it with, and leave it on to the next person to have the bag with whatever I filled it with. And then I can move on and live my life further in some other idea. So that is my experience about a free and sharing world and being in a mental hospital, and what I thought was what I thought was Ayn Rand's concept of how freedom could be put into life. Now today I know that this new world we are creating, that we are living in our actions, in our words, in our deeds, in our writings, about a more sharing world where everybody must be granted enough money to live a life in decency through the living income guarantee, livingincome.me, where we say that everybody must be granted a sum of money so they can live a life out of harm and safety and economic safety, and where they can have abundance for everybody. Because we can create that system, because we see, hey, the world banking system is just private individuals privately sitting at the boards and deciding, you get this money, you get that money, and that's about fuckings it. There is no really abracadabra to it. There is no government The Federal Bank of Reserves in the United States is a privately owned company run by private investors, run by the very, very, very fine elite, and they are controlling all the money, and that we need to change from the bottom up, because today the banks are living in a scam, and you can see it, the results of that scam being displayed wide open, that bankers are ending up dead. Nobody figures out why. Over almost 80 bankers last couple of years, over 80 bankers, financial people, have ended up dead in rivers or in hotel rooms or everywhere, and nobody really asks questions that it's happening. But it's going on in the alternative media. Yes, we are questioning this, but in the mainstream media, they're not questioning it at all. So it's really it's happening now, guys. We are the change that we have been waiting for. Living income guaranteed is inevitable. Equal money is inevitable. Keep that in mind. So we're creating a new world. What is best for all, not just 0.0000001%, for everybody. All in. Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.